Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. It has been a morning, people. But first, it is Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, uh, the day of my people. The luck of the Irish be with you. Uh, I was thinking about that not long ago, this whole thing about the luck of the Irish, and thinking that maybe a lot of people don't understand that how ironically meant the luck of the Irish is, because the Irish are terribly unlucky as a people. They've had a really kind of shitty history. And it's kind of like the Irish blessing, may you live in interesting times. That's one thing you can count on from, the Irish culture is really very interesting. There's that fascinating book, How the Irish Saved Civilization, which, we did because, well, basically we created civilization. Actually, I'm more Scot than Irish, but there's no St. Scotland's Day. um, I had a point. I know I did. Anyway, the Irish have a way of embracing ill fortune and laughing at it. And so that's really, we talk about the luck of the Irish, and I think a lot of people do believe that the Irish are fundamentally lucky, and yet it's this making the best of a bad situation kind of thing. Anyway, for most people, it's just an excuse to go out and party. I'm wearing a little bit of green today, but not a lot. Uh, so I've had kind of an annoying morning so far, and I'm recording this podcast late. So, and if you're on video, you'll see that I got coffee shop coffee because I thought, well, I deserved it. So this is what happened: is I finished. Let me not bury the lead. I pretty much finished signing the tip-in sheets. Okay, my mom didn't remember what those were when I mentioned them. So in case you're new or not paying attention, these are the tip-in sheets for the Owl Crate edition of Never the Roses. I signed a lot. And they had sent me boxes and labels. And over the weekend, I thought, oh, well, I should look at the labels because Deanna, my assistant editor, the ever efficient, had said something in her email to me about how the 3 labels go on the bigger boxes and the 4th label goes on the smaller box. And I'm like, I have 4 equal size boxes. I should have checked this before. Uh, so I took all of the sheets that I had already signed and I put them in the 4 boxes that I assembled. And I had a lot of sheets left over. And no, there is no smaller box. And so there was mass confusion. And of course, I didn't do this until yesterday morning, so nobody's in the office. So we've been emailing this morning, but I thought, well, I'd wait to find out what I should do. Like, should that smaller box, because it was already like pre-labeled for only 5 kilograms as opposed to 12 kilograms. And I thought, well, what should I do? But I wanted to take that photo for social media, right, of the signed tip-in sheets and, like all stacked up and me standing next to them because they were taller than I am. And admittedly, I am not super tall. I'm 5'4" for the record. Someone the other day guessed that I was 5'3", and I was like, do not steal my extra inch. There was a time that people thought I was taller than I am, but I think it's because I don't wear heels as much as I used to. It's very sad. Anyway, I'm not a tall person. I'm not the super short person either, though. So I know there are shorter people than me. Anyway, I had figured out a way I was going to stack them all up against this wall to kind of stabilize them. And I thought about doing it yesterday, but yesterday I didn't have to go anywhere and I didn't put on makeup. And if I'm going to put a photo on social media, I have to put on makeup, right? This is like the whole thing. And so I got up this morning. I got very early, and which was fine. I went to bed early. Um, and I, did yoga, washed my hair. Although I notice it's being kind of wonky this morning. That's why I keep fidgeting with it. It's looking a little unusually floofy. The luck of the Irish, right? Um, put on my makeup, and it was still dark. So I thought, okay, so before I do dog walk, I'm going to stack these all up and get them all ready and do the photo and then pack them all back into the boxes. I wish I'd just left them in the frickin' boxes, right? Because they were all in there. Ugh, so I got them all stacked up and I got it up to about the height of my head and I was going back for another batch. And guess what happened? Yes. They fell. And and I want you all to know that Killian thought that that was the best thing ever, and he had to come racing in and try to do like the kitty. Oops, that's me hitting the wind chimes. Do the kitty scrabble about, in the pages, which I'm trying to keep them pristine and nice, right? Fortunately, the fall didn't. It only messed up a few, and I've got, believe me, plenty extra. Um, if I didn't say this already, my brain is gone. So if I didn't say this already, I ended up signing a lot more than I needed to. Uh, with the whole like sending me more, such as my life. So I didn't sign all the ones I had, but I signed more than I needed to. So I didn't really get that little moment of signing the very last blank page, but it is done. I am done. So, for what that's worth a lot. So I bought myself an almond croissant and two lattes because I said it's a 2 latte morning. So I'm really glad to have that particular deadline over with. The upshot for you completionists is that they rescheduled the UPS pickup. And this was a thing too, because um, this pickup was for today. It's been for today for a long time. When they, sent me the labels, they said they'd scheduled the pickup for the 17th, be ready and all this. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll be ready. Give me a deadline. I'm pretty good about that. So UPS calls me on Thursday morning and says, we're just confirming that pickup time. And I'm like, no, 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 it's not today. It's Monday. And the gal was like, oh, okay. And she was great. I mean, she was very friendly and, efficient and all that kind of thing. She's like, okay, I'll mark that down on here that it's a Monday pickup. Okay, great. And so then Friday morning, I'm working and this guy comes up and rings my doorbell. And longtime listeners will know there's like a constant stream of people going across my portal these days and knocking on my window and ringing my doorbell. And not that I am bitter about this. Casita's looking amazing though. You should see the shower. The shower is gorgeous. Anyway, so doorbell rings. I look out and I didn't look very closely. I just assumed it was another worker guy, but it was a UPS guy. And he's like, I'm here to pick up the boxes. And I'm like, no, Monday. And he said, oh, well, he said, okay, I'll note that down. He said, but you might call them and make sure it stays in the computer just in case. I'm like, okay. So, of course, when I called, I go into voicemail hell and there's no way, there was like schedule a pickup. There was no way for me to like affirm. And I tried calling back the gal that called me. And of course, that's like a number you can't call. So I'm like, okay. So, anyway, the resolution, 10 minutes of explanation later, is that they're sending me a label for the fifth box and rescheduling the pickup. So who knows? But at least these will be out of my life. One thing off my plate. Let's see. And if I talked about Friday podcast, I did get something else done this weekend. I was productive. Uh, I did set A Rose in the Mirror aside to simmer. I still have to write those last few chapters, rewrite them. But I finished listening to the audiobook of Reluctant Wizard. So, and I have all of my notes, and I've started the revision. I started revising Strange Familiar from the beginning, and I will finish that and hopefully have that done in time to upload in 10 days. So I think I'm on track. If my brains hold out, and then my plan is I didn't even open my progress count yet today. I picked up my phone. I've got my phone on silent, and I got a call from UPS. Should we listen to the voicemail? Do we even want to know? I don't think we want to know. So, Strange Familiar. My friend is going to proof it. Oh, it says it failed to resume recording. Are we still? I think we're recording. We seem to be recording. Okay, let's hope. Although, just go with this day if I'm not. She's going to proof Strange Familiar as I write it and revise it, so that'll be good. And I just have to get it uploaded by end of day on the 27th. So theoretically, that can happen. I think it'll happen. And I know a lot of you are waiting on it very patiently. And then I will switch back to A Rose in the Mirror. I am going to, probably just transition right back to that and try to have that completely done by April 4th. And then I'm just going to take a couple weeks off. I really am. Next week I'll be at a Polycon. I go to a Polycon on like Wednesday, so that won't be a big deal to take all of that time off. So, I'm sort of looking at my phone here and seeing if they didn't leave me a voicemail. So it was probably I'm going to put my ringer back on, so if it goes off, sorry. Who knows? Who knows? I imagine someone will show up. So what if someone does show up to pick up the boxes? Do I give them the packed up boxes so far? If I don't yet have that label, I don't even know. Let's see. Let's talk about something else. How are you? This is if we were having real coffee. This is where I would ask you. Enough about me. What do you think about me? Old joke, people. So yeah, it was a productive weekend. I did work a lot. We had family come through town, saw them. Yesterday afternoon, I was revising and I got overwhelming sleepies and took like a 2-hour nap. So, but I think I'm doing fine. I'll be all right. We'll get this done. Strong like bull. So one thing I've been thinking about, and I'm trying to think of how to frame this since I have no brains, is like sort of the stuff that I was talking about before with the Amazon boycott and people doing what's been called by some pity marketing or sympathy marketing, where they kind of get on there and they'll be like, oh, woe is me, I'm not selling any books and my kids are sick and all this kind of thing. Please buy my books because I need XYZ. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that are, struggling with things, but there is this one thing that really bothers me when people talk about, I understand why someone wants to boycott Amazon, but this is my livelihood. And it's a refrain that I recall hearing, at least it really stuck with me at the time. back when they were stopping logging in the old growth forests of the Pacific Northwest to protect spotted owl habitat. So this is a long time ago. This is probably 40 years ago. And I remember that one of the great arguments against doing this was that this was people's livelihoods. And people were saying that, that it was their traditional livelihood too. Like that my father and grandfather were loggers, and I have the right to be a logger too. It's tradition. And I remember thinking at the time, it's like, well, just because, like that's maybe 100 years, probably more like 50 or 60 years. Does that really count as a tradition? And also, why is that more important than these other values? Because basically they were saying was that their right to their livelihood and to their traditional livelihood, which I'm putting in air quotes, was more important than any other value, was more important than protecting the old growth forest, more important than protecting the spotted owl habitat, which is basically how it comes down to everything for human beings, right? I mean, I guess we didn't get to be the apex species by accident. We basically weaponized self interest, right? Whatever we want is more important than anything. But I have a real problem with this, like when people say, well, yes, I believe in boycotting Amazon, which is what people will say. They'll say, well, yes, I think this is really important, but this is my livelihood. This is how I make a living. And it's like, well, so as soon as it's your livelihood, does that mean that no other values matter? That these other values go out the window? I mean, basically, that's what it is, right? Uh, and the thing is we can make a living some other way. I've had umpteen million jobs in my life. And I know some people will say things like, well, that they're a writer because they're not good at anything else. And, all of these different kinds of things. And yes, other kinds of jobs suck. I don't want a day job. I don't want to be doing any other job. Much as I spent over half of this podcast so far complaining about boxing up this stuff for my wonderful book that's coming out this summer, I'm incredibly grateful and appreciative that I get to do this. Um, but I think that just saying that something is your livelihood and therefore you get to should be able to continue to do it, and people should suspend their values and respect that you're suspending your values because you need to make money to buy eggs, right? And the thing is every single one of us, every single last person on this planet needs money to buy food, right? Some people have tons of money, and that's not a problem. Some people, it's egg by egg. But this is a truth for all of us that we all need income in order to live. For some people, it's to live at a particular standard. Others, it's to keep your babies alive. But this is a truth for all of us. So saying that something is my livelihood isn't necessarily, in the parlance of our era, the flex that you think it is, right? Like if your livelihood is being an assassin, do you get to say, hey, well, yeah, it's too bad that I'm murdering innocent people, but this is my livelihood? An extreme example. Anyway, I just, every time I see someone excusing things, saying, well, yes, this is right or wrong, but this is my livelihood, I think, yeah, and screw the spotted owls, because this is the tradition and I should be able to get to do this thing that I want to. And the thing is nobody's guaranteed that. None of us are guaranteed a livelihood. None of us are guaranteed getting to do the thing we want to do. Um, yeah. So that's my complaint. I've had a lot of complaining today. Sorry. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Go drink a green beer. Actually, don't, because it's just food dye. Have a glass of Jameson, and The tip-in sheets are done. Woohoo! All right. You all have a great week, and I will talk to you on Friday. Bye-bye.